Okay.
Open the door so
Okay.
I can get in and sit down.
Okay. Will do.
Okay.
The Trump appointments have already flipped 3 circuit courts to majority Republican appointed judges. These courts will be hearing significant cases involving a wide range of issues. Remember that very few court cases, probably about 70 or 80, ever reach the Supreme Court. The decisions rendered by these circuit courts establish precedents and have a significant influence on laws and policies. Overall, President Trump has installed a total of 187 federal judges, most of whom are young and will likely serve a very long time. However, most of these judges hold to a belief in originalism, meaning they interpret the Constitution according to its original intent. The editors of the Wall Street Journal explain why this is good. They said a new era of originalism in the court should be good for the law and for the public reputation of the judiciary as a nonpartisan interpreter of the Constitution. Such an era may even be good for progressives who will have to win their arguments the old-fashioned way, via political debate and elections. I agree that this new era will be good for America because it will be based on the proper interpretation of the Constitution. I'm Kirby Anderson, and that's my point of view. For a quick copy of Kirby's booklet, View on Anti-Semitism, go to viewpoints.info/antisemitism. Viewpoints.info/antisemitism. Hi, I'm John Sorensen.
And that what you're feeling there is a change.
And this is Share Life Today